Oh, okay, we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about the appearance that Lindsey Graham made on Fox News on Sunday,
Okay.
Sunday, May 11th. Lindsey Graham, he's the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee,
Right.
and he came to Fox News to regurgitate his vow to investigate the Russia probe origins. You know what that means. And
Right.
here's I'm going to just play this.
There's always a lot of probing going on.
I'm going to just play this.
To get his report done, but we had a pretty big bombshell this week. We found out that on October the 11th, Christopher Steele went to the Department of State to try to get a person at the Department of State to get the dossier out before the election.
Are you going to play
The
it?
person took notes,
Yes.
passed that on to the FBI.
You're right. John Solomon reported.
Okay, that's the introductory bit on it. He goes on to clarify things quite a bit at
Right.
about 3:34 in this thing. And
On screen right now.
I'll just prep it a little bit. It's all about how the Steele dossier was brought to the FBI after the Democratic National Committee, Hillary Clinton's campaign, paid Christopher Steele, who's an British intelligence character, who now runs a consulting firm that does essentially, in this case, a political smear job on Donald Trump for hire. And the way that he did it is what the Republicans are griping about. I'm going to play that for us now. I'll let you know when it's finished, because I know you can't hear it right now.
I can't hear it, no.
Okay, but I'll let you know when it's finished.
Okay.
Here we go.
State.
I want the Secretary of State to give me all documents related to the 11th October meeting between Christopher Steele and a member of the State Department. The lady in question took notes about the meeting, and in her notes she indicates that Steele was urging to get the dossier out before the election, and she also, in handwritten notes, indicates that it was paid for by the Democratic Party, the Clinton campaign, the dossier. The most
Handwritten notes.
important thing is she transferred that information to the FBI.
Oh, yeah,
So
that
is
was
now
in the
on notice
Secretary
in October
Department.
the 11th that their confidential informant is trying to get the dossier out for political purposes, and that the State Department figured out the Democrats paid for it. How could they then go get a warrant based on that same document and not tell the court what the State Department told them?
And yet you have Jim Comey out doing town hall.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but this whole Russia hoax premise is now going to be torn apart a piece at a time and paraded around for the next however many months through the well, what is it, 2019, mid 2019. There's like a year and a half to go before the, not even less than a year and a half, what is it, a year and 4 months or whatever to go before the election in November.
Right.
But it'll be they're starting to to pump it out now. Some really interesting things are going to happen here. None of it is of any substance. It's all crazy nonsense, horse shit. But they're going to be able to trot this pony out and around just ad nauseum, the same way basically that the Democrats have been promoting their whole. They dished up a whole lot of political weaponry and just handed it over to the Republicans by pursuing this, insane, psychotic charade. But I think that, depending on how it plays out in the primaries, anybody that has any serious connection with Hillary Clinton, or who tries to defend what the Democrats did during these primaries, is going to lose points. And I'm talking about you, Creepy Joe. You might as well be Hillary Clinton. In fact, I have a meme that shows Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden's face, Hillary Clinton's hair. It's pretty good. I should put that up.
It is. I saw it.
But it's funny. It's so comical. But what do you expect the Democrats are going to do? What do you think the establishment Democrats are going to do? How are they going to respond to the truth about how the whole Russia hoax thing was put together by Christopher Steele, being paid by Hillary Clinton and so forth? Do you think the Republicans will be trying to get Christopher Steele to come testify before some Senate committee or something like that? Because it basically is they've got a clear, coherent argument that he just used his contacts and paid off some people or whatever he did to get this dossier put together, made it up out of thin air, or somebody made it up out of thin air, but his sources at the Kremlin gave him this information,
Yeah.
Who knows whether, surely they must have been paid something for their time as consultants. What the heck was that noise anyway?
Oh, that's a moped. I stepped outside.
Oh, you're walking around.
I'll make sure that I stay stationary.
So anyway, I think that the my takeaway on the whole thing is that it's the bombshells that it's the Republicans' term for bombshells. Bombshell, bombshell, bombshell. Lindsey Graham just announced the first bombshell. It was every 10 minutes some. Well,
they want to see. There's notes, just like the Democrats say that they want to see all of the Mueller report.
The Democrats. The Democrats have been clamoring to believe in things that they could not see because they didn't exist.
Right.
As a rationalization for their disrupted fantasy that Hillary Clinton was indomitable, that she was destined to be what everybody felt she was destined to be. Instead, she
but it seems like
the worst possible candidate in the history of the country to run against a buffoon like Donald Trump and lose.
Yeah, and you would think that they would even have to do that. I mean, just on his record and the person is his business dealings and everything. You think that would be enough? Him not having any political experience, being a reality TV show host.
When Trump went negative on her, which he did in a very calculated way, she just fell right into that trap. And the only thing that she talked about was what a horrible candidate who couldn't do the job Donald Trump was.
Right.
And perhaps she's not wrong about that.
Yeah, she's right about that.
But how important was it? How about what you are going to do? How about what we can do? What about what are you made of? Not just how bad.
And Obama's in the mix. I mean, he's lost all credibility because when he ran the first time he ran, he just trashed her, and even his wife trashed her, and then. When she's running, then he said she's, the best qualified person and all of this, when he was saying she was unqualified before, and he was bringing up all these things. So, she's so.
It's going to be a very interesting primary season, and I don't think that the only way that the progressive candidates or the more progressive candidates. And there's three of them by my count. Bernie Sanders.
And who are they?
Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, and Mike Gravel.
Right.
The rest of them are all.
So you don't think Elizabeth Warren is?
No, she's like the rest of the candidates. They're all, pissing in their own boot.
Right.
You know, but the one, they're the ones that are most closely aligned with the politique that Hillary Clinton represented, and are some of them are, the most ardent, promoters of the idea that Trump should be impeached because of the evidence that the Mueller report provided. for obstruction of some imaginary crime that didn't happen, which wasn't very much obstructed. I mean, they make an argument that there was obstruction, but a clear-eyed look at it. So how do you obstruct something by using your influence to try to avoid being the subject of an investigation for something that you didn't have anything to do with? At least they didn't find any evidence that there was anything to do with it after 2.5 years and $30 million of expense and a whole lot of ratings for Rachel Maddow and the Stooges.
And it's understandable how the Republican Party would say, okay, well, how did this all start?
Well, that's basically what they're doing, and they've run out the
right.
They ran out the clock on the Democrats, and in the first game of the series, and finished well ahead of the Democrats with the Mueller report finding that there was no collusion.
Well, the dossier that they spent $250,000 on. I mean, the Democratic Party is like, they have to do something, because it was all bogus. So they tried to. He doesn't need to be slandered that much, but they just added even more. What would you call it? Erotic things to the mix.
Neurotic, yeah.
Which Americans love to grab onto, because I remember how the contents of the paid dossier by the Democratic Party, they were picking it out about his sexual, choices. What do you call them?
Proclivities.
And walking up the stairs. I better not do that when we're doing it, because
let's wrap this one up. I'm gonna wrap it up. Well, I'm sure we'll be able to talk about this a lot more as time goes on. But it's today marks the day of the first bombshell announced by Lindsey Graham on the Fox News network.
That's it.
May 11th, Sunday. I'm sure that there will be many more bombshells to follow,
and more probing
as the political season matures on this site.